Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good. You look so stunning and radiant.
Thank you. I just filmed a 10-minute get ready with me for a podcast. So
Oh my gosh.
you really
So
got
you
me at it. It was like 9:45 and I was finishing up another meeting and I was in my pajamas and I was like, I gotta go. It's
wait,
this.
tell
It's
me.
my red lip gloss.
Oh, gorgeous. Well, wait, tell me more about this Get Ready with Me. What podcast is it for?
You.
Oh, I was, I
No, I
thought
just was
you
like, what did I do? I brushed my teeth, I washed my face, I put sunscreen on, put a little blush on.
I was like, wait, where are you? I was like, are you
I'm
I
not
just
going anywhere. I'm going downstairs.
That's so funny. I don't know why. I just assumed you were commissioned by like Business Insiders to
Oh
do
no. That's
thing.
super funny.
And that
No,
made
I
me so happy that you like had a beautiful moment of adornment for this podcast. That makes me so happy.
well, you look radiant as well.
Oh,
All
thank
right.
you. Welcome,
I'm running a
Anushka. I always like to, so a tradition in monsoon season house is that we always start every podcast with three grounding breaths. As a
Mm.
certified meditation teacher yourself, you know the drill. It always helps, I think, everyone listening as well. I always invite them to help anchor into this moment. So wherever you are sitting, just try to get your seat like 2% more comfy. And then when you're ready, I'd invite you to flutter your eyes closed. Settle into the body. Take a moment to arrive to this really perfect, juicy, present moment. We're going to take three deep, nourishing breaths. We're going to inhale through the nose and exhale out the mouth, very, very slow and steady. So when you're ready, begin your inhale. At the top, sip in as much as you can. Exhale slow. Beautiful. Two more. Take a deep, deep breath in. Watch the belly expand. Fill up full capacity, and when you can't fill up anymore, let it go. Last one. Inhale and exhale out. Before you open your eyes, let's just take a moment to place our hand on our heart and set an intention that everything that is shared and expressed, all the stories that we excavate in this conversation, all the energy that we exchange, everything is not for us, but for a secret, mysterious someone, a stranger, or a listener that is going through their own messy middle, their own monsoons, and they need this message. We dedicate this episode to that person, that unknown person that will feel a little bit more seen. And when you're ready, let it go. And you can slowly open your eyes and come back to the present moment, which you are an expert at. Welcome. Welcome, Anushka Joshi, to Monsoon Season. This podcast is like an altar for culture, consciousness, and creative courage. And my hope with this podcast is to remind people that like when you share the most vulnerable parts of yourself and your monsoons and the rainstorms that you've been through in your life, that becomes like the very mechanism in how we actually choose to serve and water the world. And I literally just saw an Instagram post of a friend of mine from my meditation teacher training in your campaign as you were launching your brand. And it was like instant. You were the first person I've ever invited where it was like, I didn't look at your background, I didn't look at your career. I just saw that image of your launch campaign, and I was like, I need to have her on this show because you embody so much of what monsoon season is about. I wanted to take a moment to introduce you to the audience. So, Anushka is the founder and CEO of Sovereign Studios. I love the name, by the way. She just launched officially on June 10th, I think, right? So almost like it's been a
A month
month.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, a month ago. July 10th. Perfect. Synergy.
Yes.
So Sovereign Studios is a meditation wear brand that is for waking life. I don't know if you wrote the copy for that, but that is fucking genius, I have to say. So what I really love is like you have the dreamiest fabrics and like your silhouettes are so just elevated and fresh. And something that I really love about your work is it's always tethered to like reclaiming energy and like reclaiming your personal sovereignty. Anushka also has a very, very girl boss background in a lot of different things, and she's founded media companies like Gen Z and even a dating app called Friend of a Friend, which is a story for another time. There's so much there. And she's also been featured on Forbes 30 under 30 at the ripe age of 24. She's a certified meditation teacher, just like myself, and we hail from the same exact lineage of three jewels. And her mission is to bring meditation into the culture. And my biggest wish today, Anushka, is like, yeah, my hope is that this conversation is not about your really impressive accomplishments and titles, but we dig into the human nature of who you are and get to see that part of who you are. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and just for taking the time. Um, and I'm so excited to connect with you and everyone else who's a part of this as well.
So, my first question is that you describe your Aji, your late grandmother, as the living heartbeat of why Bombay, India feels like home. With all like the sensorial moments that you've shared with her, like the sipping the chai, the sweets, the amras puris, the climbing rooftops, and hearing her singing on harmonium, can you share like what she taught you about personal style and creativity?
Oh my gosh, you will make me cry on site. I would say she taught me about a sense of unshakability. And I'm going to be like, she, in the best way, was an intimidating woman who it's less about the style and creativity, but more of being like unapologetically who you are. She is the mother to my father and my uncle, and was also the head of a department for statistics at the University of Bombay, which is basically like owning an entire department or school, which for a woman 50 years ago was really impressive. And she, I mean, yeah, also like had gotten into Stanford to do her PhD there for statistics, but couldn't go because she had two little boys. And she just was such an impressive, smart, disciplined, diligent woman. And when I look at her and our memories and think about her, it really is like this sense of unshakability that I saw with her, and a very like no nonsense woman.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, she just had this sort of power to her, which as a young girl could have felt intimidating at times, but I also knew that she loved me and she loves me. And all my cousins, and she also loved that. Well, she has a musician's heart, and like would sing and practice every single day. And all three of my cousins slash brother, um, they are all like very musically inclined, and
Yeah.
I wasn't, but I know that, yeah, I owe. I remember one time one of my friends went over to my grandmother's house in India while I wasn't there, and he came out being like, I understand exactly why you are the way you are. And
Mm,
just like some of my mannerisms or my like whatever, that energy is, he was like, I get it. It's inherited. And I was like, oh, interesting seeing it from that perspective. So yeah, I think she taught me how to be me and not need to waver.
yeah. I see a lot of her like that energy of hers like poured into your collection as well in a very
Mhm.
subtle, beautiful way. Is there anything you wish if there's like one question you could ask her? Like, is there one question that you're dying to ask her?
This is so funny. First thing that came to mind is, are you proud of me? And I think, there's this like really shared like intellect being, she's such an intellectual, smart woman. And I think I'm the youngest of my cousins. I'm the only girl. So there's like a lot to live up to also. And I think for like a couple years, the answer is yes, but I think what I was doing wasn't quite clear to a lot of people, not as in like, it just wasn't like a legible thing to describe. Sometimes some of the companies I was working for, I was like, I don't really know how to explain this. Um, and I know the answer is yes. She would be so proud of me that I'm like running a clothing brand that is rooted in something spiritual, which she values as well.
Mhm.
Um, It's just so funny, it's so intimate. It's just like, is there a shared understanding of like being able to be seen for all that you are, right? And I think I've now come into myself in the last year in a way that feels really legible to me. And she also passed away a year ago. And so there was a lot that I didn't get to share with her, but a lot of this journey is very much born out of
Mm.
her passing as well.
Yeah, I was noticing as I was researching your life and your work, I was noticing the parallel of the timelines as well, like
Mm.
with your dedication to her, and then like going on that journey of like like what am I going to do with this life, this one life
Yeah.
I have? And I just had a feeling there was a lot of juice there that hadn't been really connected.
Yeah.
Um, Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that as well and honoring her. Can you share like something that, so you've done a lot, you've started a lot of businesses and like the dating app, like the media company, Gen Zine, like, is there one skill that you're surprised you're able to like borrow and use in
Mm.
building your meditation
Mhm.
wear brand that like most people might not realize there's a connection to?
Yeah. So I think throughout everything, my biggest strength is like content and community.
Mm,
It's the storytelling arm and and maybe we'll go into this, but the TLDR is I really wanted to be in fashion when I was in high school, realized I was horrible at like painting and drawing. So then went the media route, but it was all about like story. And it came from like, how did fashion media make me feel about myself in high school and like social media and all of that. And that led me to designing media for social change. Um, Content storytelling. Obviously, it's like we're making clothes, but there's like a huge story and world around this brand.
hmm
And then community, it's like, how are you making people feel like they are a part of this as well? And it's like, it's not me, myself, and I in this. I try to like have people connect and see themselves in whatever I'm making and feel like they can have a part of that. And then what maybe looks like it doesn't connect. When I started the dating app, I was like, the really unglamorous answer was like, how do I build a technical product in a scalable business model? That was like something I was just wanting to learn how to do.
hmm
And now working in a physical product business, like I am able to grasp like manufacturing and all of the parts that go into the puzzle. I'm still learning a ton, but it's like the ingredients that go into making a cake. Like I had to learn that when I was doing the dating app of like, okay, what is all the different type of code that goes into here? And now I'm like, what is all the different type of fabric sourcing to cut and sew to learning about like warp and weft. I totally got that wrong also. But it's like the tiny little details
Yeah.
of
Your brain is like synthesizing the
yes.
information in a more advanced like within a more an advanced like processing system
Yeah.
because you've done it before.
Yeah. 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 And so I'm very happy that I've like learned how to make a new cake, make a new pie. And now I'm like, oh, I can, my brain knows how to store this information. So I'd say that.
Yeah, beautiful. So at 24 you get the Forbes 30 under 30, right? Like every South Asian girl your age hates you because you they're like moms and aunties are like, oh, why is Anushka on this
Yeah.
Forbes and why aren't
And why
you?
aren't you?
Yeah, this is coming, I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm, 10 years older than you, but
Mhm.
my mom would probably say that
Yeah.
and be like, why is this girl on this? I'm like, I'm over 30 now. I can't
Yeah.
even get on this list if I tried. What is like the hidden moment that people don't talk about when you get recognition like this?
The emptiness of seeing your name just on a screen. Should we talk?
Oh, blow me back with the Buddhist wisdom.
It's not that interesting.
Did
It's
you?
what you make of
No, but
it.
did you like not like you're like, oh shit, I made it? Or were you able in that moment to grasp what was happening?
Um, it was something that I think, so I'm very proud of that. And I took the time to like celebrate and feel it, but like I don't know how to explain that there is a feeling of emptiness in my heart, at least, that was not resolved the way that I maybe thought it would be. Um, yeah, I don't,
That's
it's a
not
really, but
you're
it's a horrible thing to say, but
no,
I
it's
think that
not.
was kind of such a, catalyst moment of being like, oh shit, I like wanted this for so long, or this is what people like look at to think that they make it or something or whatever. But I'm like,
Sure.
oh, it's just looking at my name on, it's pixels on a screen. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny. I've heard I don't know if it was Jim Carrey or someone say this that like I wish everyone could be like rich and famous to realize like that's not it. Like there's so many people who
It's not
strive
it.
like they strive for it and they spend their whole life like, for me it was like as a kid it was like an Academy Award. It was like I really
Yeah.
want that.
Yeah.
And then people get to it and they talk all the time about like, oh, it's like this moment is so fleeting. It's
It is
so
so.
it has nothing really to latch onto and there is emptiness. Like there's emptiness philosophy tied into any time I hear someone talking about achieving this,
Mhm.
this unicorn of an accomplishment that they're trying
Mhm.
to like reach for. And it's in a weird way a gift to get it earlier in life because
Yeah.
then you're not you've tasted it, you have the data now in your spirit to know that that's like not enough to sustain you.
And also, it's like if you're talking about seeds and ripening in moments, and I switched my med talk to be about this because it happened
Oh,
like a couple.
we're gonna literally talk about your med talk next.
We can get into it, but the short answer is like I spent a lot of my time building in this place of maybe striving and not good enough.
Hmm.
So it's like, okay, when you reach that moment of arrival, you don't have the seeds to like appreciate it that much.
100%. A
So
hundred percent. Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of
Now,
med
yeah,
talk,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So med talk for anyone listening to the podcast, like Anushka and I both went through the same exact meditation teacher training through Three Jewels, which is a New York City studio. And it is tradition at the end of our 200-hour training that every single person does a speech or does, a graduation speech kind of sharing their story. And so Anushka, you graduated 2 years ago and your speech was three. Oh my gosh, okay. Three, oh, I graduated. I was like, you're not in my class. 3 years ago. Thank you for the correction. And so your speech was called Rewriting the Future. And you said in the beginning of your speech, you are a recovering girl boss. And while you were saying the speech, there was this projector that had this image of a tote bag. Of course, it's a tote bag because you're such a fashion girl, but there's a tote bag with a graphic of a tombstone that says she worked really hard. And so what resonated with me the most in your speech was, and I had to quote it because I don't want to mess it up, but you write or you say that you're not supposed to feel like you have to faint all the time.
Mm.
Girl, when you said when you said that, and I heard all of like the odd people in the audience go, "Oh shit!" Like I heard people be like, like they were all like so in resonance with that statement. And then you also said, "I'd wanted freedom for all beings, but I was so far from practicing that myself. If I don't think I'm good enough, then how could I ever see the world as good enough?" And that was 3 years ago. How do you feel about that person who was doing that speech and like the things that were shared?
I love her. I
Yes.
love her. She's so awesome.
We love her. She's
We
very
love her.
yeah.
So yes, that tote bag was a gift I got my junior year of college, which was like 3 years before that. 3 or 4 years before that. My best friend would give me all these gifts. She's like, I got this tote bag. It reminded me of you. And then she also got me this other like tumbler mug that said, I am very busy in like sparkling whatever.
So people, your
And
friends were
so,
just reading you to filth all the time.
oh my gosh, they are so happy I'm a much more chill version of myself now. I think college I was like pretty insufferable, and that's okay. Gotta go through it. Um, yeah, so I guess the question is, how do I feel about the girl who gave the med talk?
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't, this is the only part that I don't have a question. I just really wanted to amplify
Mm.
that statement of that you're not supposed to feel like you have to faint all the
Thank
time.
Yeah.
Like, because I've never heard someone phrase burnout that way. Because burnout
Mm.
is such a like over, as someone
Hmm.
been a creative director and writes copy for a living, like
Yeah.
that really like
Yeah.
hooked into my soul because, and I'm just curious, what like what does that feel like in your body when you're at that point where you feel like
Like,
you're fainting daily?
I just think about again, I was like 22, 23 when I was doing Gen Z full time. And like I'm so happy that I hit all of these points of like early workaholicism or like burnout and stuff very early because I understand how different it feels now.
Mhm.
And like, yeah, there are still like no, the tendencies are like decently gone now. But I remember that summer so specifically where like I had just like lost a lot of weight. I was also just like younger and like thinner or whatever, but I just wasn't I did not know how to fill up my cup. It was like, I have energy, great, let's use it.
Mhm.
Um, and my mind was also just like racing so much. It was like a physical and a mental exhaustion. And I, yeah, I don't know. It's like you
Yeah.
actually just shouldn't feel dizzy all the time. Like there's this I really appreciated you even leading this meditation to like get us back into our bodies at the beginning of this because how often are we disembodied? Like so often. And I think that is, and I'm really working on that right now. It's like, how do you stay connected to your being? How do you stay connected to your
Mhm.
source and to your energy and to like tune into that? That sounds so woo-woo, but like,
No, it's real.
yeah, it is real versus being like, oh my gosh, I used to just spend whatever energy I have and not even feel the need to replenish it.
Yeah.
Um,
That's like what we're trained through the culture of like everything must be optimized. Like, and
yes.
that's what we normalize. That's to the point where we think that wanting to like feel faint every single day is this normal part of our day to day.
I'm working hard.
And
Yeah.
and just like meditation, like bringing our mind's hook and awareness back to that is so hard when we're on the hamster wheel all the time.
Hmm.
And honestly, when I heard you say that, I had to stop the YouTube video and pace around the house. I was like, okay, she struck a chord in me because so many art people who are listening are in that right
Mhm.
now. Like they're not
Mhm.
out of it, they're in it. They're
Yeah.
feeling that exhaustion, that bone tiredness that you feel, and it's and then we also burn ourselves out by looking for the solution to that problem because we're suffering so much. And um it's just a very human, relatable feeling.
I think it's also so interesting in contrast to how I build and approach this now, where I'm like having this business be rooted in meditation and presence. I'm like, I need to return to that every single day. And it's also, this sounds funny, but so much of my career and what like capitalist optimization teaches you is like your output creates your world or whatever. It's like you always have to be like doing, but so many of the best things from even the way that the idea for the business came to me at a 10-day Vipassana retreat. Like
Yeah.
that was not me trying to do anything. It's like, okay, how are you receiving? How are you letting things meet you also here and understand that like my output isn't actually like everything in this, like more strategy, more tactics, more hours actually isn't going to make this, whoa, successful. And
Wait, can I pause you for just a
yeah,
moment? Because I love how we're like literally on the same exact wave because my next question was literally about your silent meditation.
oh, great.
It's we're in the flow right now, but I
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to make sure that I don't miss like important pieces that
Mhm,
people might not know
mhm.
who are like new to you and your
Yeah,
world.
yeah.
So you left New York a year ago to like figure out like what your true calling was, right? And
Mhm,
so
mhm,
I really want you like this is I think like the heart
mhm,
of this episode is
mhm.
your monsoon season, like that time where you stepped away, like you made that decision. And I love you to like for you to walk us through that time. And like I something you wrote that I wanted to pull out and highlight was you wrote, I decided it was okay to not know what was next. So the contradiction is really funny to me as well. It's like I left New York so I could find my true calling, but I'm also okay if I don't know what's next. And so yeah, how did you find what your true calling is without putting yourself like through that ambitious pressure that tends
Yeah,
to kind of always trip us up sometimes?
yeah. Well, so for some context, again, I kind of touched on this, but I've been a very creative person my entire life, and especially in my youth and childhood. And in high school, I really wanted to be a creative director of like a fashion house. Like that was my dream. And then that led, like I did a summer design camp in New York, and I was like, I hate painting grayscales. I'm not doing this. I'm not going to art school. And it led me down this more media communication route. And again, I'm from Palo Alto, so when I would say it, it's like I want to help people and I want to work in media, it's like go be a social worker. And I'm like almost not quite. I'm thinking more Vogue, like, you know,
A social
and
worker at Vogue.
yeah, and I was like, okay, cool. There just wasn't the language for what I wanted to do. And I'm really happy that there were two, I was going to end up at NYU for fashion of business, got a fat scholarship to USC. My parents also were like, go try do the college thing. If you don't like it, you can transfer to NYU, but you have your whole life to like live in New York. And I'm so grateful that I ended up at USC. My first day, I met a professor who gave me the language, and that was like designing media for social change. I started Gen Z in my freshman year of college, and then I ended up taking some entrepreneurship classes, which I'm very grateful for. And I ended up in the like 5 to 6 years after that, going down a very startup-y path.
Mhm.
And I felt like a fish out of water as time went on because I'm like, I'm actually like a very creatively empowered person. And I found myself being more in like business environments, but like I learned a lot. It was good training ground, but I was like, okay, something here is still missing. And I had just hit this point after like 4 years in New York where I'm like, well, I don't want another dream of who I want to grow up to be. Like, I just need to go home and rest. And like, yeah, that whole burnout chapter is really real. And so I went home and I mean, this is gonna get like intimate quickly, but nothing's off guard. Like, so I'm from Palo Alto and trigger warning. I grew up where there was a lot of suicide by my peers.
Mhm.
And there was just this relentless pressure we lived with. And like, oh, Mike, hold on. Oh,
Oh, you're back. I
yeah,
could
okay,
hear
cool.
you though.
Yeah. So there was just this like relentless pressure that we grew up with, and no one could exactly pinpoint like what it was from. And I was just reminded of things about like a year ago where I was like, you know what? I'm tired of coming from that environment. I'm very grateful, but like my USC environment was also a good pressure cooker. The environments I was in New York, it was just constant more, 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 more. And I'm like, I'm out. Like, this just isn't the path that I want to go down. And my parents were like super understanding. I went home and just allowed myself a summer to like paint, to read, to hike every single day, to just pour back into myself in a way that like I so desperately needed. And I also think when you're in New York and like you want to leave, this sounds so funny. There's also sometimes like a stigma around it where it's like, oh, you couldn't do it. And I'm like, I could, but
Oh yeah.
I want something different right now, and that's okay. And I
Yeah.
gave myself time to do that. And in July of last year, I wrote down that my calling was to be at the intersection of fashion, culture, travel, and wisdom slash philosophy. And it wasn't until October where it all materialized. But that is something that had been the constant echo for 10 plus years, right? Like that's just who I've been my conscious adult life. Like that's what I've always been drawn to. And even I'm a big notes on my phone girl. And
Same.
even,
Yeah.
yeah, and even in like, I just would always write down terms that I think resonated with the life that I wanted to create. And I had given myself the time and space to one, hear that again, and two, let whatever wanted to ripen, ripen. And I remember even having conversations with some friends last summer of being like, I really want what I do next to be like what I want to do for the next 10 years. And she was like, it's a lot of pressure. And I was like, kind of.
Yeah.
Also, not really, because I knew what I wanted to feel like when I was working, and I knew that I wanted to create something that I also had ownership in and that I had upside in, and I had enough trust in my skills at this point that I'm like, I can figure anything out instead of just also being in the mindset where it's like, I have to keep going and learning from people. I'm like, wait, we're always learning, and I'm like still reaching out to like people for help all the time, but I'm like, I know where I'm my best self and I just want to feel that and do that and like go forth and not feel like I'm on the sidelines of my life anymore. It's my long answer.
Yeah. No, it's a perfect answer. Something that you're mirroring to me as well is that I think as an ambitious person who also just wants to like be and create, like, and as someone who has like the heart of an artist, like when you
Mhm.
are like skilled at just being good at other things like working at startups and media like when you're good at so many things it also becomes such a vicious trap like
Totally.
because we forget about like what is our true calling versus like what are our capabilities and like the things that maybe just come natural to us and we like it's so easy to spend years kind of just being in that portal and not
Mhm.
stop and be like, whoa, am I actually creating? Because even just that awareness that you had of like, hey, I'm doing business, but like I actually want to be creating things and be a
Mhm.
creative director. Like being tethered back to that thought is like what brought you back and like what brought you to like painting and like having a
Mhm.
summer of freedom and stuff. But
Mhm.
so much of us don't want to take that risk because we're like, oh, well, I'm good at this. I'm competent at this. Like, might as
Mhm.
well keep going, especially if you're getting compensated for it and stuff.
Totally. I also think like for context, the last 6 months of my life in New York, I was freelance consulting for other like brands and startups.
Mhm.
And that job kept me in like the thing that I was an expert in, which was like content and community, but also doing things for companies where like the way that my brain works, it's like I love operating across a bunch of different functions. Like I can't I don't like just doing one thing. And I was doing that. I couldn't be a part of like the larger story that was happening at these companies. And then I also was like, I like feeling very bought in and I don't, it's also like, how do you like being compensated? I'm like, I actually don't like being compensated in like just cash or something. Like I need skin in the game. I need upside. I need to know that like what I'm putting my efforts towards is like has room to flourish.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
yeah, it was yeah, it was nice. It's
How
always
did,
nice to want more.
yeah, well, how did you feel when you really stepped into your calling and knew like what your vision was and weird things like finding collaborators in an airport started to happen for you?
Mhm.
What was that like when those seeds started ripening?
So great. Um,
What I've
like
experienced in my life is when you really go for the thing your heart really wants,
yeah,
the opportunities happen
happen.
so much faster
Yeah, yeah.
than you could have possibly imagined, but it's because been working on it
Hmm.
subconsciously for a
Hmm.
lifetime, you know?
Totally. It's like the word that comes to mind is obviously, you know, like the day after I got out of retreat, I just like, or whenever my, brain kicked up, it was like in the next day or two, I just sat down and I basically wrote down the deck and the vision for Sovereign. And the core of it is still the same. Obviously, like some things have changed. I wrote down that like one big long to-do list of like, what do I need to do to launch a clothing brand? You know what was on there? Watch a bunch of YouTube videos. Like everything in that
Yes.
list is basically what brought me 6 months of work. And I think I feel fear so much less. I think that first month after I had committed to doing it, I would literally wake up in the middle of the night and being like, wait, and I don't think this, but I'm like, is making meditation wear like stupid? Like just this sense of free fall, which I think you feel anytime you take like a big leap. I would be like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? Like how am I going to pay the bills? Like how am I all these things?
I literally, Anushka, the next question is what does the voice of your inner saboteur sound like on days that you have doubt, fear, and uncertainty?
Yeah,
And you're
but
like reading my notes. You have access to my notes.
I do. I do. I'm a mind reader. But I would say the other thing is like I have this deep faith and trust that I've almost never had before where I'm like, it is literally all going to work out. It is going to be okay. I've also like taken leaps before, felt the fear, and like received dividends from it later. So I'm like, I understand that whatever time I spend on this is going to work. And it is so aligned with who I am. And I'm like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing for the next long time. That of course it's going to work. Of course it's going to be hard, but of course it's going to work. That's just like the voice that's in my head most days. Like, of course, obviously. Like
Yeah.
this is
But
there's that. That's the
when
louder one.
when you do have that moment, like where you wake up in the middle of the night and you hear this voice say, like, oh, meditation wear is a dumb idea, like how do you like move through that and not let that like hook onto you?
I call it the founder flu. Uh,
I
I
love it.
literally, yeah, I got the founder flu right now, and like some
Ooh,
days,
that is good. That is
yeah, and I text my friends who are in similar positions as me, and I'm like, fear is here. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Sorry, I swore. But like, there's an element of that, but it's also like it'll pass. I think having practice is so important too, because that's like I grasp the wins and the losses as equally.
the
And
equanimity. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like, okay, this is what's happening. That's okay. But this also sounds funny. I'm like, nothing I'm doing is like that consequential. So the problems, while they exist, it's just not, it's like also understanding like what is worth sweating over.
Mhm.
And most things at this stage are not that consequential. So it's fine. Like eventually the stakes will be much higher, but my capacity will also grow to be able to handle those. But yeah, I would say the short answer is I call it the founder flu. I get sick like once a week, once every 2 weeks now. Some months it's like chill, other weeks, like after a launch, after a big period,
Mhm.
sick.
Mm.
I
Yeah, because you're also like
ex
the expansion.
yeah.
I literally woke up this morning like with like a sore throat because I
Mhm.
always get sick when I'm leveling up and I'm expanding to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
next moment, you know?
Yeah, I don't think One thing that I wish I could share is like expansion actually really hurts. And we
Mm.
think of the wins as a really good thing, but it also, like after launch, I was like, yay, I'm happy for like a day. But then all of a sudden, again, hold wins and losses like open palms. Then all of a sudden, I'm like, cool, I climbed this mountain for 6 months and now I'm at the bottom of the next mountain and I don't know how to do that. And now a couple weeks in, I'm like, okay, it's taken a month to like really feel like I've found my footing in this phase of the business and to like, so it's just, it's constant. You're constantly like learning, growing, meeting new problems and challenges, and yeah, expansion hurts.
Yeah, I think this is like a natural like segue into the question about like, and you touched on it a little bit, but like, is how do you grapple with the tension of building a brand that's rooted in presence and
Mhm.
meditation when you're trying to build and scale and not get sucked back into like the ambition, especially when, the noise externally of other people building things can be so loud. Like, do you have like a secret mindset or like secret habit that you have for dealing with that?
Just nourishing my personal practice,
Hmm.
I think, is a big one where, well, one, I let myself rest. Like I understand now that like self-care is very important. And the way that I feel it's like what I'm putting out is very strong in its messaging and intention and what I want for other people. But it really goes back to like, if I'm not practicing that myself, how can I ever expect this business or this brand to like emanate that? Or how can I ever expect that to connect with other people if like I'm not true to it myself? And so there's a lot of invisible work, I would say, of like, working with teachers or coaches or just making sure that like I have my bedside stack, which is like 5 books that I love that I feel like are really nourishing. Like this sounds, it's not silly, but I'm like even turning to prayer, not just meditation, and just
Mm.
keeping that well full is very important to me because yeah, I don't ever want this to be something hollow. And I also never want to like lose or commodify my practice and let it, yeah, you just have to keep filling your cup up. And then um I also have a deep trust that everything will get done. And I understand that my 80% is like someone's 100%. And I've
Oh,
built, eek,
yes. Okay, this is like the faint thing. I need to take
yeah.
glasses off. Speak.
Yeah.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
And I mean that in like a, it's gonna sound so funny, where I know what I'm good at now. And like not enough people say that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I've spent so much of my life working hard that of course my cruising altitude, I still work hard, but like of course, there's different layers and levers where I'm like, I just have a really like large capacity for this stuff. So I don't know. I know, and there's the trust that like, well, yeah, my 80% is someone's 100%. I also, when I'm making decisions, I'm like, if it's good enough, it's a go. And I don't sweat the small stuff that much, right? It's like trying to set myself up with as long as what I'm doing is in alignment with the larger vision, that's fine. Another part of this is like, delegate. I think in the past, I have tried to hold on to every single job function, but now I'm like, oh, I actually hire early, or like if someone could do this better or as well as me, give it to them. Or if I have to delegate this at some point, give it to them. Where is my time and energy best spent? Figure it out, build the team, build a mission that like people are in support of this thing. Like I just don't have to carry it by myself. And then also I like started the sentence 5 times and didn't finish it, but trusting that things will get done in the time that they're supposed to. I think sometimes I'll overwhelm myself with like, here's my to-do list for the next 6 months. And it's like, right, you can do 3 of those a week. And just understanding that like when it's time to reach out to retailers for wholesale conversations.
Yeah.
That will ripen and that will happen. And I don't have to force myself preemptively to think of that strategy because it's like, that's just not where my priority is. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's my short answer, long answer.
I have to get your 100% is my 80% tattooed on my ass today. Like that has shooketh me to my core. I cannot tell you. You like just articulated a pain point that I didn't even know had words to it, but you did something for me.
Thank you. I also mean all of this with humility, but I think what we don't do enough is like celebrate our strengths. So I'm also making a conscious effort of that where it's like,
Yeah. And I can
I've got
tell
some
there's
reps
just a
in.
different, like, there's a different energy to you, even from like watching you 3 years ago. Like, I
Mm,
mean, you were in your power, of course, but
yeah.
there's a relaxed nature about you that is, I think, only a testament of you returning to your practice over and over again. So you can speak to it from a place of like practice and like, I've done the reps for 3 years,
Mhm.
it's just very interesting, like just even how you communicate is very different than
Thank you.
years ago. It's beautiful to watch. Like I want to dive into Sovereign Studios. There's so much there. So my first question is, you describe your brand as the Patagonia of meditation. Can you like unpack that for us and tell us what that
Yeah.
means?
So what Patagonia is ultimately an institution around climate, and they fund a lot of efforts, not just in their company, but like for other organizations. They have like a very large philanthropic effort, and they've built their company in such a way that it is like so true and authentic to what they want to create, right? In terms of like some of their product strategy or like manufacturing and whatnot. So I think I look to them as a very large inspiration for how they operate and function. Going back to this 10-day silent retreat, where okay, we're gonna have to rewind for a second. So when I did my meditation teacher training 3 years ago, I did it because I felt stuck in my life. I felt stuck for so long, guys. I felt stuck in my life and just wanted a container to deepen my practice. And I was like, okay, now's the right time. Did not want to be a teacher, did not really want to reciprocate when people were asking for more guidance and whatnot. I was like, that's not why I did it. Years later, I was at retreat and I was like, you know what? I've benefited so much from this practice. And the time that most people were asking me for help was in regards to meditation and practice.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to step into that. And I was like, okay, that's actually selfish. And oh my gosh, there's so much we could talk about, but it goes back to even like my med talk of being like, if I don't think I'm good enough, how could I ever see the world as good enough? And it's like, how do you do systems change? It starts with you as an individual. And even looking at like the values that permeate throughout society over the summer before, I was like, huh, across many cultures, there are these like paramis, there are these pillars of wisdom that are echoed throughout many cultures. And I feel like in our capitalistic society, we're kind of living in the underbelly of it. If renunciation is like what we should strive for, we're in an ego, fame obsessed society. If generosity is where we should be operating from, why are we like constantly celebrating greed, right?
Mm.
And like hoarding of resources. And so before all of this, I was like, what would it be like to build a society from a place that operated off of like wisdom versus whatever's happening? And then while I was on retreat, I was like, okay, I should start teaching. Maybe I'll teach once a week and just do that. And then over the days, it spiraled into like just this like thump in my brain where it was like, there's no Patagonia of meditation. And so many things. One, what Patagonia, what Nike, what Alo, and what Lulu have done is they've brought practice into culture. Say what you will about any of these companies, but like
Yeah.
ultimately, we still live in a like capitalistic brand world where clothing becomes a cue, it becomes an identity, it becomes like how we share and represent our values, and like that's always been a thing. And I've always loved brand as a form of storytelling. And I was like, okay, well, there's a gap here, and more people need meditation now than ever, slash, based on our digital economy and our minds just being owned by all of these tech companies, like, yeah, obviously we want to learn how to like reclaim our attention, which is also what sovereign means to me. And then it also became this question of like, whoa, what would it be like to create the institution around meditation and mindfulness that can ultimately like fund the prison reform um,
Mhm.
projects? What would it be to give to fund teacher trainings like 3 Joules? Like, how can I create this thing that can give money to all these other efforts that are on the ground? And like, where is my skill set best spent? It goes, yeah, it's like, what do I know how to do that I'm confident in? And I'm like, it's this. And yeah, it just really all came together. And it's about bringing culture, it's about bringing practice to culture. It's about creating this like institution around presence and mindfulness in culture and helping amplify that. And then it's also like an identity story and a uniform story that I think we're looking for.
Yeah, something that I love that you said in one of your like most recent posts is you were like, well, if someone asked me like do you need special clothes to meditate?
Mhm.
You said no, like you don't
Yeah.
need special clothes. So how is what you wear and how you choose to like drape your body affect your practice? And why do you think it does matter to be intentional?
Well, okay, 2 points. One, how often are we shifting around in our jeans? How often are we complaining about waistbands that dig into us? How often are we like feeling the polyester sweat on our armpits? Like,
Do not get me started on synthetic fabrics and those yoga pants that women will not take off.
yeah. So there's that element of it's like, well, what does it feel like to be really comfortable in your body all day long and also like not sacrifice style? When I'm working from home, like, what am I wearing? I'm wearing my poncho right now and I'm wearing my pants versus like I'm sitting here in my leggings all day or I'm sitting here in my like sweatpants, my pajamas, whatever. Like that shouldn't be comfort. And I also think post-pandemic, our style as a culture kind of like shifted a little bit to, especially for like the work from home girlies. Like, how are we? There's a, you said this at the beginning of like adornment. How are we just like celebrating this body and this life and wearing clothes that make us feel human or a put together version of ourselves and like our highest form wherever we are? Like, that's a big part of it. And then the second part is how does this impact your practice? The deeper you go in meditation, the more subtle you pick up on like more subtle energies, I think.
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, the deeper you go into your yoga and meditation practice, it's like your body, it's like when you get healthier, your body only wants good food. It doesn't want processed foods. It doesn't want that
That's
stuff.
such a good comparison. It
Yeah,
really
like your system responds to it. And now that I'm more attuned to sensations on my body. I'm more aware of what feels good, what doesn't. And this is part of it. Or now that I've even started wearing these clothes, it's actually uncomfortable for me to wear things that don't feel good on my skin. Like I wear 5 things, 7 things actually, and they're all
natural fibers.
yeah.
Yeah, no.
Also, I'm gonna be really real. I've never been that girl. Like I that this wasn't on my I'm not someone who was like, I need to get rid of everything polyester in my closet and whatever. I just thought that it was like the most authentic story.
Mhm.
And like the fabric that we use is called khadi, which is the fabric of freedom in India. And
Mhm.
it was what Gandhi wore, especially in um, opposition to the British industrialization. And when the Brits came into India, they started machine making a lot of things, but India still produces 90% of the world's handwoven textiles. And now I'm like, I can't wear anything else.
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like your cape slash like you feel like a superhero when you put good
Yeah.
things on your body and it amplifies the goodness of your
Yeah.
practice.
Yes.
I think I felt like head over heels for you when you said like what do you want to give your practice.
Mm.
And so, like, because I we do live in a culture where we're on Zoom calls and people are showing up with their messy buns and their pajamas, and there's no shade for that.
Yeah.
Like, do
Me and
you?
my call and my PJs an hour before.
Yeah, but like, and I've always had this idea that like what we put, how we show up does influence like the words that come out of our mouth, how we
Mhm.
choose to like be in that present moment. And I love that fashion is your portal, and your offering is fashion as a portal into that and into
Mhm.
a deeper practice. Um, I wanted to also ask you, this is like I want a short and sweet to the
Yeah,
part of it for this. What does returning to your practice look like when you've fallen off?
as me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when
No,
I'm returning.
as someone else.
No, 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 no. Sorry, I thought you meant like for consumer or for
Oh,
me.
for you. Yes,
Okay, yeah.
yes. I know, like we can get so meta
Yeah.
about, yeah.
Truly sitting for 20 minutes and focusing on my breath.
Mhm.
Not doing anything fancy, no bells and whistles, but it's just like per- stillness. Yeah, just a 20-minute sit, 15, dare I say, when the time comes.
Do you have a certain time, a pocket of time that you do your practice, or does it just depend with your day?
I prefer mornings. It sometimes depends on the day.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's like I really notice when I haven't sat. So if I can, it's in the morning. Otherwise, sometimes it's like after a workout class, whatever order of operations for day is. And then if I just didn't get, yeah, it sometimes happens in the afternoon because that's when I'm like, I didn't practice today and I know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But routine is good. I'm working on it. But habitually morning.
Okay. Yeah, I think the mornings always feel like a good, like a just a beautiful intention setting,
Mhm.
especially if you dedicate and stuff, it just
Mhm.
completely seeps
Mhm.
into the rest of the
Mhm.
hours. Something that you said in your med talk was maybe the real way to heal the world is starting right here. If I want to be a vehicle for any good in the world, then I have to be good to myself. And that's a really beautiful thing, I think, to think about when we are busy building and trying and building things and businesses and creations that are to serve the world and to serve a community and to serve the collective. But we forget that like we it's that awareness of coming back to, are we being good to ourselves? Like that's the seed that we're planting. And
Mhm.
that actually permeates in our business and the things that we create and build to serve other people.
Mhm.
And I just really love that you ended your med talk with that philosophy and that wisdom. My final question is, one of my absolute favorite meditation rituals and types of meditations is the future self meditation.
Mhm.
Anytime I lose my way and I start to kind of falter on my path and like what's meant for me, I always go back to my future self meditation because
Mhm.
it always gives me exactly what I need. And for anyone who's listening who doesn't know what that means, it's like we sit with a future version of ourself. It could be ourself 24 hours from now, it could be ourself as a 90-year-old. It doesn't really matter, but we visualize our future self and um, are able to like send messages to that version of ourselves.
Mhm.
It's such a powerful practice. My final question, Anushka, is if you asked your future self, Nushi, what would it look like to be perfectly loved right now? What would she say?
Exist without worry.
Mm.
Like, drop the act, drop the whatever negativity swirls here, and just be you. Don't change anything. And like, it will all be okay. Um, Yeah, I had a very visceral moment of that in the last couple weeks where I was like, wait, what if I just let myself arrive?
Mm,
And, presence can feel like being in your body, but it can also be like, I'm living my life right now. I am me right now. And like in all of that glory and whatever, just
yeah.
let it be. Funny enough, when you brought up future self, I remember in 2021, when I first started doing this future refuge practice, sitting at Three Jewels, and I met my future self. I don't think I had a bob at that time. I've had a bob on and off for a lot of my life, but I just remember meeting this woman who was dressed in all white, really drapey fabrics with like a very blunt, chic haircut. And I think she was still a little bit older than I am, but it is so crazy thinking about the seeds even planted during that moment or whoever I was talking to. And I'm like, I'm really on the track to becoming her, and or I already am. And that is so fascinating even to reflect on is what are these echoes of yourself that you're getting from the future that you ultimately become, even if you're not consciously thinking of it?
Oh yeah, it's unfolding like in the perfect way that the, Kismet and the universe
Yeah.
work,
Yeah.
and even it's just, yeah, it's so wild. Like my future self is always wearing a linen matching set
Mhm.
wearing this cherry red linen matching set, and it's like draped a certain way. And I remember like being obsessively trying to find that outfit like
Yeah.
online and trying to like embody them. But it's so interesting when we sit with our future self, the illusion is that the future self is in the future, but it's actually the teaching is coming from us in
Yeah.
this moment here now. And even just hearing you talk and reflect about your past practice with the future self, like it all is always comes back to the present, coming back to the present
Mhm.
and being okay with who we are like right now in this moment. And I love that your message was like just exist and like not worry. It's okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um yeah, and I think that's all we really need from to keep going back to and to keep returning to
Mhm.
over and over again. All right, my love. We are at the end. I wanted to ask, like, is there anything on your heart or anything that you are dying to share?
Thank you for being so thoughtful with your questions and with your research and for, I think, just, yeah, for putting this conversation together, for having me, and for also being a wonderful, like, creating a container where I could reflect on kind of past, present, future. And it was a really fun and fulfilling conversation. Um, and I think we should keep talking offline because there's so much more to discuss as well. But I just want to say thank you. And I think to whoever's listening, every path kind of looks different, and that's okay. And just keep following your intuition. There's no right way, there's no perfect way to do anything other than as you are.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. I like receive everything so like deeply in my heart. I really want like what draws me to you as well is just to like one of the things that really inspires me to spotlight someone like you is I don't think I've ever had a South Asian guest on my show before, which is wild, but just to have an Indian American woman who has had like multiple lifetimes in her career
Yeah.
show up and like choose the path less traveled and like forge your own path. Like that is medicine to so many people. And to the people who are looking at your Forbes article being like, ah, why? Like you are like medicine for like your journey will help so many people just not wasted time, like their precious life, like going down the paths that we're expected to go down and to find like what makes sense, find the intersection of their favorite things
Yeah.
and really find new ground that becomes like the thing that they can offer to the world. And at the very beginning of our episode, I mentioned your Aji and like your beloved grandmother, and you asked like, is she proud? Like
Mm,
she's very proud. Like not that I have any business saying what she's thinking up there, but she's very proud.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anushka.